Hey, what's up? My name is J.M. Chaley and welcome to my channel. This week I want to talk about reasons why readers may DNF a book, maybe your book. So let's get into some reasons why, so maybe me and you and everybody else can avoid them. For some people, it's too late. Number one, no inciting incident. What? How are you going to draw me in? Where's the hook? When do I start giving a fuck about what happens or the stakes or what? Like, what's happening in this book? What's the story about? Why do I care? I DNF'd a book one time where there was no inciting incident for 20 chapters. And I still don't know when the inciting incident is coming because I stopped reading. 20 chapters. That sucks. Your inciting incident should be maybe in your first 3 chapters. Usually it's the first chapter, but sometimes you need it in your second, your third. Maybe you're setting up kind of a baseline for your main character's day-to-day, the normal things that they go through every day until, bam, something happens. And maybe that happens in the second chapter or the third chapter. But if you're going on and on and on, chapter 4, 5, 6, 7, God, no. Why I kept reading for 20 chapters of this particular book, I don't know. Number 2, too much setup and not enough payoff. The author writes and writes and builds it up and builds it up and builds it up. He's teasing it. It's going to happen. No, it's not. It's never going to happen. You're never going to get that payoff. It's set up and set up and set up. Or maybe he's stringing you along for, 20 chapters and no payoff. Nothing. And eventually the reader's going to be like, okay, if I don't see this shoe drop soon, I give up. Because people want something. Look, maybe you don't pay off the big stuff, right? That's the very end of the book, but you want to give a little bit of stuff, right? Little crumbs to keep them going. Like, whoop, whoop, here's a little bit of stuff, keep reading. Here's a little bit of stuff, keep reading. I'm going to set this up, and I promise you, I'm going to give you more. Just keep reading. It'll be worth it. But I guess that's not for everybody. Number 3, the characters suck or they're unlikable. I DNF'd a book because I hated the main character. I was rooting for him. I knew who the character was about. It was about a character from a television series that I really like, and this was a book adaptation, so I'm like, I want to read about this guy. And the guy had a backstory in which I could see why he was sour and kind of bitchy. So I got it, but he was bitchy a lot, and he was mean to people, and he was unlikable, and he was a douchebag. And I'm like, I don't like seeing this side of the character. At least not as long as it's been going on before I DNF'd. And you don't get to see the other side of him, like the sorrow or the regret or the morose or anything like that. It's just dickery the whole way through. And I'm like, no, this guy's a jerk, and I'm out. I want to read about jerks. Number 4, no stakes or low stakes. Maybe the inciting incident happened, but the stakes are low. Like, what's the compelling drive? If the main character fails or something happens that they're trying to do and they don't do it, what happens? Nothing? A whole lot of nothing? Maybe a little bit? Are there consequences? Does anybody care? Hello? No. If the stakes aren't high enough, then you're probably not going to read, because who cares what the outcome is, right? Your main character's ass isn't on the line. Nothing matters. It's not important. They'll just wake up the next day and go about their business as if nothing happened. There are books out there where the stakes are just too low, and it'd be very easy to just turn it up a little bit, but it's a missed opportunity, and I always bail on those kind of books. Number 5, reference materials. And I'm going to give credit to Amy Rosenfeld on this one because she recently did a video on appendices, authors that put in an appendix in their book. And I'm going to tag her video up here, but I got to give credit to this one because this was a very good reason to DNF, and it's certainly one of mine. I've seen books that are dependent on certain jargon where you have to go, I don't know what this word means. And you need to know what it means to understand the story or the plot or what's going on. So now you have to flip to the back of the book and read an appendix. That sucks. It breaks immersion. And if you keep doing it long enough, it's going to get annoying. I've also seen authors that use footnotes in a novel. So you're reading along and there's a footnote. And you're like, okay, so you go back, look to the bottom of the page, and it explains that. That breaks immersion too. One extreme example, I saw an author that had so many footnotes, the notes of the footnotes themselves were greater, or they took up more space on the page than the actual story content. That's insane. Nobody wants to read that. And after a while, I found that I was just skipping the footnotes altogether. I was getting lost and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand the references or the words or the meanings behind everything. And I just gave up because it was a pain in the ass. Now for reference materials, I don't mind certain things. If you want to put a map in your book, that's cool. If you want to put a glossary in the front of your book, that could be cool too. But you have to make sure that the jargon in the glossary is not story dependent. In other words, if I come across a word that I don't understand or a term that I don't understand and I skip over it because I don't feel like flipping back to the glossary, or maybe I've read the glossary and I've since forgotten, and if I skip over it, I'm fine. Right? This is just a courtesy, right? I've seen pronunciation guides, right? I'm reading a book now that has Scottish brogue in it, right? And there's pronunciation guides on how to read some Scots and stuff like that. It's helpful. I kind of perused it a little bit, so if I want to say to my friends, oh, did you hear the scene about blah, 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 and I can pronounce someone's name, I can talk about it, and that's nice. It's a courtesy, but I don't need to keep flipping back to the front of the book to the pronunciation guide all the time, right? If you have reference material in which your book, your story-dependent content is dependent on the reference material, like an appendix or footnotes, then you're just going to lose your readers. No one's going to keep wanting to flip back and forth, break immersion. People just want to keep reading. They don't want to take themselves out of your story. Why are you doing that? Don't do that. So that about wraps it up. 5 reasons why readers will DNF your book. They will DNF your book. For these 5 reasons, I really believe so. If you like this video, please give it a like. And as always, subscribe. I post every Thursday. And you can follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can read the first chapter of my work in progress, A Flower in Hell, on jmchaley.com. Join my mailing list, my newsletter. Send me a message. Let's keep in touch. All right, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.